Now, Chad is sorry for the delay. We were chatting beforehand. My AC is broken. There's a lot of things going on in the golf world right now. But this is the awesemo.com Tuesday show at 2:30. Same crew as always. Myself, Ben Raza, here with fantasy golf man Tim Frank. We are done with the U.S. Open. It wasn't difficult. Guys tore it apart. What did you think of it?
Yeah, boy, I really based a lot of stuff on it playing hard, playing firm and fast, and I kind of thought Thursday morning that I was in trouble, and I ended up, yeah, being in trouble because a lot of it was predicated on me thinking, even par -1, -2 was a winning score, and that just wasn't the case. I mean, it was a good event, and I'm really happy for Woodland. I had no Woodland, but just seems like a great, great dude. So, I mean, no qualms with him winning at all. A couple friends, a lot of people bet Woodland. A lot of people I don't like bet Woodland, but a lot of people I do like bet Woodland. So I'm happy for them.
It's
Um,
true.
but but yeah, really just a tactical error on my part, thinking it was going to be more difficult, thinking it was going to be firm and fast, which it wasn't, and that just kind of put me in a hole from a kind of a course fit perspective.
Yeah, I'm really stunned. I'm not gonna lie. I think we kind of knew that the wind wasn't going to be Pebble-esque, but I still thought that with pin locations or just letting the greens dry out, it would be a lot harder. Um, I needed Rose. That was my pick to win. If he would have won, my life would be significantly better than it is right now, but he didn't win. So what are you going to do? Him and Usti carried me away. I'm a Woodland guy. How could you not? I had no stake in him. I certainly didn't want him to win because I wanted Rose to win, but just an awesome guy, great player as well. So it was good. I think I'm in the camp of one time a year. I would like to see the guys really struggle out there. I know people have differing opinions, but that was just another tournament in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I saw some people saying, well, and I mean, it was a good tournament. I'm not saying it wasn't, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we don't need every week to be a total grinded out slugfest carnage, but yeah, 1 week a year, it's nice to see that. And like you said, I mean, you can't do anything about the wind. There was nothing they could do about that, but I think they could have dried the course out a little bit better. I mean, I knew I was toast Thursday morning when people are tweeting pictures of them like watering the greens prior to play, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work out well for me, and it didn't. But we got a real event this week.
It's
Another
true. We got the Travelers, which
after a major, you get the best events of the year.
I love. I actually do love this event. This is a Lahiri special. He's done some crazy things at this course. It's in my neck of the woods, right in Hartford. Maybe I'll go. So we'll see. And coming off a major, they find a pretty good way of keeping a decent field here. I feel like every year they get some of the top end guys.
Yeah, I've been surprised. It seems like the retooling of the schedule it changed some things, and maybe I think it weakened a couple fields where we're used to strong fields or stronger fields. But I think a couple events where we're used to weaker fields. I think it's helped guys having to play a new event every year with the schedule change. And I mean, yeah, this is a good event. It's a decent field for this event, especially coming after a major on the opposite coast too. That's a long haul for these guys.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts. It's hard to quantify that. We talk sometimes when they go to Europe and come back. It's not ideal, but we'll have to see. We've seen Brooks come off, obviously wins and play decent here. It's not the best setup, but that's something I don't weigh too heavily just because we don't know. For every guy that comes here unmotivated, there's someone who found something by making a cut last week and comes in hitting the ground running. Before we dive into the players, you want to talk about TPC River Highlands for the people?
Yeah, 6,850 yard par 70. I think that's like the shortest course on tour. I think it's the shortest regular tour stop, or if not, it's very close. So super short course, par 70, bent grass greens. Pretty easy course. I mean, we've seen last year winning score was 17 under, 12 under, 14 under, but this is a par 70, so they're not going to get that far under par without those extra par fives. But it's scoreable, so there's going to be birdies. The par fives are going to give up eagles. There's a 296-yard par four that's
Yeah.
extremely drivable. Everyone will give that a go. So yeah, it's going to give up birdies and eagles. Bubba has a tremendous record here, which kind of doesn't make sense because of it's such a short course. It doesn't seem like a great course where off the tee specialists would thrive. And I kind of think it's not. I'm going to be preferential to the shorter, more accurate players, even though Bubba has figured this place out. Um, you know, we've seen shorter guys, Russell Knox, Spieth, Streelman, Ken Duke won here.
The Duke. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there was a crazy, weird playoff with Bubba Watson and Corey Pavin back in 2010. So that just kind of gives you an idea. I guess all kinds can get it done here. But yeah, I'm more preferential to the shorter hitters. Like we say, the top guys, they're all long, but as we get down the line to the mid-range plays, some of the cheaper plays, I think I'm going to go with the shorter, accurate types because I just think that's what this course calls for, despite Bubba's record here. He's kind of figured out how to play this course, but it's not a typical Bubba track.
it's weird. He's such a with Pete Dye. I'm with you. I think that Bubba's proven that, of course, a different style could win, but Bubba's an anomaly in himself. Like, I don't think he speaks for the Bombers, if that makes sense. He just does his own thing and he finds places he likes. This happens to be one of them. My mindset is more someone like Knox. When I see them win this, that makes sense to me when I just think about what you would want going into it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pete Dye, which I didn't even mention that. And I mean, that right off the bat, I mean, it's going to require some semblance of accuracy. Pete Dye doesn't really make bombers' paradises. You know, TPC Sawgrass, Harbor Town, just looking back at a couple of his other tracks on tour, they require some accuracy. And I think this is it. And it's 68.50. That's really short course. And,
Really,
just looking back at the players that have success here, I mean, you look Freddie Jacobson and Ryan Moore, Ken Duke and Chris Stroud, Streelman and KJ Choi, Russell Knox and Jerry Kelly. I mean, these are like 1-2 for a good majority of the events, and these are kind of a who's who of short hitters.
Yeah, so we'll see. It is. I mean, we're not going to project weather here. I will say there's a lot of moisture on the ground, though. It's been raining. It might play really soft. It might be flag hunting season. We'll have to get a report from Hatchman and the rest of the Connecticut posse that we have. But let's dive into it. We got Brooks 11-8, Cantlay 11-3. He should have got cut last week. That guy never can't be killed. Spieth 10-7, Moley 10-3, and Jason Day flat 10K. What do you make of it? Obviously, we don't have the depth that we see in a major, but we still have some options.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where people go. Brooks obviously has this, the persona or whatever of only showing up for majors, and then we saw how great he was last week. Really had a great chance to win, but Woodland was just too good. Yeah, I mean, I like Brooks. The ball striking has been phenomenal. He's averaging almost 10 strokes with the ball striking over his last 4 events. And that's not even counting a T2 at the major or at the Masters where we don't have shot link. So, I mean, the ball striking has been top notch even in the non-majors. I know he wasn't great in some of those non-major starts, but the ball striking was still good. I mean, he's expensive, but I like him. Cantlay, I think a lot of people are going to go there. I don't have anything to say. Like you said, he should have been caught very close. Just kind of made it in on the number, and then ended up finishing T21. But I mean, I just think for the $500, I'd rather play Brooks. He just $500 more expensive. I think he's just, if one of these two guys is going to run away with the event, I think it's more likely to be Brooks than Cantlay. Spieth, he was exposed last week. The ball striking, we've talked about it every week. The ball striking has not been any better, even though he racked up 3 straight top 10s. And I think that came back to haunt anyone who played him last week, because, I mean, you have to have some ball striking. You can't do it all with short game week after week after week. And I think that's what we saw last week. 10-7 is an egregious price for him in this field. And Molinari just feels too expensive for me. He's not playing that great. I think it's a good course fit. But I would just rather go up to Brooks or Cantlay or go down to some of the guys in the 9K range, who I think there's some great plays down there too.
Yeah, I mean, so I think Cantlay is going to be the most popular. I think he's the safest up there. I have him and Brooks close. I prefer Cantlay to Brooks, to be honest. I just think the course fits him a little better. All in all, though, I'm more apt to go balanced. I really think there's some guys, we'll get to them in a second, that I think are close, if not better plays. And I don't think ownership's going to be a huge issue there. Spieth might be really low owned, and then you get into that conversation. But we saw, you just said this, he lost a half a stroke putting And if he doesn't gain 5 or 6 strokes putting, if he strikes the ball like this, he has no chance. And that's just such a huge ask. So hard to go there. What I know you kind of touched upon these guys, but do you have any feel on Jason Day? Because he was quiet last week. He didn't play awful, kind of just a middling finish. He can get crazy hot with the putter. We've seen that. Do you have a feel on him or just no real opinion?
Yeah, he hasn't quite been doing enough for me to warrant the 10K price tag. Um, like you said, there's probably some guys in the mid to even low nine range that I would feel just as comfortable playing, and I just don't think he has that huge winning upside that guys like Brooks or Cantlay have. So yeah, it's probably a pass for me. Just he hasn't been awful, but just hasn't been showing me enough to pay the 10K when I think there's other good options, both higher and lower than Dave.
He's another one. I was happy, obviously, to see his around the green. It was absurd last week. It should be. That's his bread and butter. Kind of like Ricky, where they just have to do it a little differently because Day is not the best ball striker out there. He's an incredible player, but he needs to putt. He needs to scramble, and when he doesn't, we're not going to see it because he's not up to par with the rest of these guys. But honestly, like I said up top, we always say this, you can play these guys. They're all really, really good. I think it's more important to kind of dig down and talk as we get lower. But this 9K range is, to me, way more interesting. We got JT, Casey, Fleetwood, Bryson, Leishman, and Finau. I mean, my God. Usually there's a couple I like to throw out. This range is loaded to me. I love stacking up a couple of these guys and working down from there.
Yeah, stacked range, especially, and there's some interesting guys too to talk about. I love JT again this week. He was like the only guy that if you played him last week, like the only owned guy that missed the cut. So if you played him, you were dead, like I did. But I mean, it was the short game that held him back. He gained 2.2 strokes with the ball striking through 2 rounds, so that was fine, not great. But he lost 3 strokes putting and around the green, and that's what killed him. And I think if he could have snuck in on the number, we could have seen something like what Cantlay did and salvaged a decent finish. So the ball striking was fine. The ball striking was great at the Canadian Open, 6.7 strokes, and that's really why I loved him last week. I think that's why a lot of people loved him. And then we talked about that first start back from the injury where he missed the cut at the Memorial. He was fantastic on Thursday and just melted down on Friday. So I think it's kind of a work in progress, him coming back from this injury, but he's shown a lot of good signs, even in missing 2 of 3 cuts. And I think 9,800 is a good price for him when we've seen decent ball striking out of him. He's one of my favorite plays. I think the missed cut, not a huge deal because the ball striking was okay, just lost strokes on and around the green.
It's going to be one of these situations with JT last couple weeks. It's like, do you want to jump early because he's underpriced if he's okay, and the wrist it seems to be no factor. He's rusty. He's not playing great. I'm more apt to hang on. I mean, we know how low he can go. We know he's not sub 10K in this field. If it was a little different situation wise, my biggest concern is just you're sacrificing one of these other guys. He's a roster spot, and you have Paul Casey, who I have no problem with. Tommy Fleetwood, I think, fits this course perfectly. We've seen him play well at the Players. We've seen him play well in Chapultepec in Mexico, wherever the hell that place was, which I think is very similar to this. I've seen Josh Culp also say that, which that's a good thing. So, Fleetwood's game definitely should translate. I know he doesn't have any notable course history or whatnot. Then you got Bryson, who I hung on, and he was, again, really good with the irons, really good with the putter, egregious around the green. Obviously, the game's not in perfect shape, but it's coming. I really believe that, and I'm definitely hanging on and playing him again this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. 9,200 seems really cheap for him, especially now we've seen 2 starts in a row where he was pretty good, T35 and T22. Yeah, and I mean this course, around a 1 week sample size of around the green isn't a ton, but I mean this isn't a course that's really going to require a ton of around the green. I think it's pretty much, it's going to play fairly easy, hit the fairway. It's not going to require a ton of scrambling. And yeah, I mean I think at 9,200, another great play. I think you could play him and JT together and have pretty huge winning upside for not much more than the average cost of a roster spot. I mean, these guys are fairly underpriced. And, when you're talking about Brooks and Cantlay, I mean, you could easily see, like you said, JT and Bryson under different circumstances be well above 10K in this field, even pushing 11K.
No doubt. I think this is the range where, for one reason or another, you're getting golfers that I equate with the top end at a discount. It's not as simple as just fade the top and play these guys because they have more risk. We've seen them struggle here and there, but I think it's a range to attack. But we'll see. Chad's got some hot takes there. We have someone really heavy on Jason Day, which I'm not opposed to. I don't mind Day, but I don't think he's a must play either by any stretch. What
Yeah,
about Leishman, Finau? Obviously, they're towards the bottom of this range. I don't have a strong take on either of them. They're behind the guys we just talked about for me.
yeah, I would say they're well behind. I mean, it's really hard, unless you're looking at ownership and they're just super low owned, which they probably will be. Yeah, there's just not a lot I see in Leishman or Finau that really is guiding me towards them to say, yeah, this guy is a good play. When I think, we've outlined, 4 or 5 guys who I really feel strongly about. Just not really a strong feeling on either Leishman or Finau here.
Yeah, I mean, Finau's struggled. He really has. He shows signs, but it hasn't been the best year for him. Maybe as a one-off, I'm not sure. It's weird. Bubba's won twice here.
Three
Interesting.
times.
Three. Look at this. Just rack them up. What do you think his ownership? You think that'll carry weight, or will people still be like Bubba's just been? Ugh.
I mean, I think obviously his ownership will be higher because of people will see the course history. They'll see the 3 wins. He's got a fourth, a second, a sixth. This is all going back to 2008. The great course history. Obviously, the ownership will be a little bit elevated, but I don't think he'll be chalky at all, to be honest with you. I mean, the form has been kind of not great, and around the middle part of the year, maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, the ball striking was good. He was playing well. I wouldn't be opposed to playing him. I'm just not sure about the ownership. Definitely a lot of risk in playing him, but I mean, this is as good of course history as you're going to see out of anyone anywhere. And 8,900 for a guy that's a pretty prolific winner. I mean,
He is.
a little bit like a Snedeker type, very volatile, but when he's on, he closes the door and he gets a lot of wins.
And he's a guy that I think maybe the number one golfer where he likes tracks, he likes them. When he doesn't, he doesn't. He doesn't have a ton of deviation where we've seen him win at multiple places, multiple times. Johnny Vegas style. They just like certain tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will be scared off by the form, and also there's the stigma of being a course history donkey. They don't like, I don't want to be a course history
There's a
donkey
lot
and
of
play
shame.
this guy.
A lot of shame.
Yeah, it's like, oh, shame, shame, you played Bubba. But
And
I
it's
mean,
Bubba.
8,900 that's not a bad price for him when he's had such a good record at this event and has a history of winning events.
Yeah, I mean, my plan is hopefully he's not too popular, so I can take a position where Bubba's not going to kill me, and I don't have to overhaul my lineups because I have no interest in really jamming Bubba here, but I don't want to be left in the dust either. Usti, Chad did bring him up. I recommend him all the time. It's true. He gained 8 strokes putting, which is typical Usti stupidity. Rest of the game was fine though. I mean, he's that type of player where he comes out of nowhere and then he disappears. Maybe he sustains it. I don't take much week to week with him because you just don't know. So I don't have a strong take. If he's low owned, I'll probably play some as I usually do.
Yeah, I'm my standard. No, thanks to Louis.
Yeah, there's not much to say on him. But he does, him and Bubba kick off that 8K range, which to me is significantly weaker than the 9K. This is, there's some good players, but we're talking about guys like Phil and Sneds and Reed, Kokrak, Jesus. Streelman, any favorites in there as we kind of work down getting into the mid range?
Did Snedeker like break his arms or something on Friday? I mean, like that the ball striking almost broke my spreadsheet with how bad it was last week.
There was some issues. Yeah, Tidy lost 6.5 approach. Yeah, it was ridiculous. He had a ridiculous streak at one point, and then he just shot. I think he finished at like 10 over, 11 over, something like that.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we're dead, Friday morning, and then he rallies to make the cut, but realistically, even if you had him, it was like a 5 of 6 lineup anyway. Like it wasn't a 6 of 6 if it had Snedeker, that was for sure.
It was bad.
Um, yeah, I'm with you. I don't really like any of these guys in the top range. Maybe a little bit of Patrick Reed. I don't know. Showed a little bit of something. The putter was really what held him back last week. Um, was very bad with the putter. Still finished T32, but yeah, not a guy that I love.
You see that?
Honestly,
You see him break the club?
oh yeah, that was awesome. Love that.
That
You
was
gotta love
very
that.
good.
Yeah, you gotta love that fire.
Respect.
I wouldn't expect it out of him. I would have said Rom Peters well before Reed, but
Peters.
yeah, that didn't work out too well.
Never does.
A super chalky Kevin Streelman at 8,200. I like him. I don't know what the ownership's going to be. I guess when it gets closer to lock, we're going to have to figure this out whether we want to play him. But I've been talking about like Stenson's approach game all year, and in Streelman, his ball striking has been like a poor man Stenson. He's averaged 6.9 strokes ball striking over his last 5 events. I mean, that's just phenomenal, and it's been super consistent. Um, T6 or better in 3 of his last 5 starts. He's got a good course history here. He's got a win. He's got 3 other top tens. Yeah, I mean, I put a lot of emphasis on ball striking, and he has been striking it phenomenally and consistently for quite a long time. And 8,200 is a good price. I just think he'll be super chalky.
He's gonna be. And I get it. And I'm a big fan of Streelman, short irons, right? This course sets up well for him. And then we've seen it translate. So it's nothing against him, but in certain teams, I will certainly pivot off that. And that's where we talk about the importance of building a lineup as a whole. Like Streelman makes sense in a vacuum. He just might not make sense with a particular build if you already have some other guys that make sense from the ownership standpoint. God, I want to say Charlie Hoffman because I think he's a perfect one-off. Him or Berger are right there. They're not going to be nearly as popular. I think Charlie Hoffman's a guy I'm going to get into trouble with. He's been gaining with the irons consistently. He didn't really, at Valero, obviously he popped, but then he kind of regressed. He's making cuts. Nothing really stands out. Last miscut at Memorial. I could see him rebounding here. If this approach game continues, there's no doubt he's going to start playing better overall.
Yeah, and he's got a good record here too. He's got a third, a second, a seventh, all since 2012.
And that'll be overlooked just because he's next to Streelman. Like people, I feel like
I
are
don't
not
think
going to
people are going to go there at all. Maybe this is the spot for Berger, who we've just been waiting. I feel like, I mean, feels like this is like 6 weeks in a row where it's like we're waiting for him to break through, but it does feel maybe like the best course that we've seen for him. You know, he can only win at the Memphis St. Jude, and this is maybe a similar setup, short par 70. He has a second here, he's got a fifth here, and yeah, just he keeps making the cut, keeps kind of striking the ball okay, and I'm just waiting for for him to kind of kick it into another gear. I don't know if this is the week, but I do like the course for him.
Agree. He just every week it's like, all right, he got through, and then he does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's like it's been not exciting at all to play Daniel Berger over the last like 5 or 6 weeks.
True story. We have to give our Phil, yay or nay?
No.
Okay.
He's not been good. I just it seems like he's on the downside of the career, which, I mean, what did he just turn 49? I mean,
he's getting up there.
Yeah, he's, I'm not I never really play Phil. And he just hasn't been playing that well over the last couple months.
He's a guy I've actually found a really nice niche targeting in Showdown because he can put it together for 18 holes. He just seems to throw a snowman in there over 72 holes, and that's a problem. So I've used Phil here and there in Showdown, and I'm probably going to continue to do that because I think you can pick your spots. I just don't want to pay $8,700 for him in this field. All right. Hatchman, everyone else is waiting. This is the moment. This is the best range of the entire tournament. We've got Victor Hovland, Griot, Sungjae Im, Benny On, all the favorites. The top end of the 7K range is going to be dangerously insane. I plan to use a lot of these guys.
Yeah. I don't think I'm playing Hovland this week, but I just want to say I'm usually against all these newcomers. I'm on board with Hovland. The dude was amazing last week. Led the field in ball striking, led the field in off the tee plus on approach. He was awesome. I don't know if I love him this week at this course, but I'm of all the new guys, he's one I can get behind. Um, Grillo is really almost in the same boat as Streelman. The high finishes haven't quite been there because the putter and the around the green have been
Awful.
a lot worse than Streelman's. But really, almost the same type of ball striking, averaging 5.8 strokes ball striking over his last 6 shot link events. Just super consistent. He's gaining 5 strokes off the tee and on approach every week. Just like lock him in for that. The putter's been bad. The around the green hasn't been good. But I don't think this course, we said it's not going to require a lot of around the green game. The putter comes and goes. I still will play Grillo. I just think the ball striking has been too good for 7,900. I think this is a short track. I think that's a good fit for him.
He's going to be popular, I think, because people are going to notice that. I am not getting away. I think people know, if you watch the show, we both really like him. Play him a lot. The irons are on fire. I've seen him floating in the outright market here and there. It's a tough ask. The guy just doesn't win, but I would love to see it. I think he's a great play this week. It's just the opportunity cost. Similar to the 9K range, you got him. Benny On makes a phenomenal play this week. He's putting better. I know he's only gaining like 1 stroke putting, but I can't stress how much better that is than losing 5 or 6. We know how good of scrambler he is. And he played well last week, or he was great. He had a bogey-free round on Saturday. Very impressed with him. I think this is a good spot.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to break Hatchman's heart.
What?
I know he's going out. I mean, okay, he barely gained a stroke with the ball striking. Yeah, the putter's been better, but what happened? Now the ball striking is back to basically even, which has not been his game. Point not.
5.4 around the green. That's absurd.
I don't know. I don't. Guys that are gaining strokes around the green, to me, that's more of a red flag than unless we're playing Pebble Beach again with 30-mile-an-hour winds. But I mean, he hasn't gained more than 1.5 with the ball striking in his last 4. I mean, I'm going back his last 3 starts where he's made the cut, and then he's missed a couple cuts. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. The putting has turned around. The around the green game is still good, but the off the tee and on approach have really come back down to earth. So he's a pass for me. Sorry, Hatchman.
Wow.
I know.
It's I'm going to stick with him. I think I'm more apt to say that the putting, if he can just keep it here, I think we'll see it connect. Hovland is a guy, I wrote about him in my article, which is up on the site. Feel free to check it out. He's going to be over-owned. I think that's a fact. It doesn't mean he can't get there. It's just coming off that, people are going to want to play the shiny new toy. And I think he's really good. I think he's going to hit the ground running. I'm probably going to have some. I just don't know if I'm going to get over the field. If he's 15% owned, that's a lot to put on a guy that, yeah, he's been impressive in what we've seen, but we don't exactly know what he's going to be doing week in and week out. So I'm cautiously optimistic on Hovland.
Yeah, I mean, I like him, but he's in a loaded range. He's going to be overowned.
There's other guys too, like Knox, Ryan Moore. I think fits fine here. Short hitter, can really attack.
Yeah, Moore at 7,800 is super interesting because he hasn't been playing that well, but it seems it is a great course for him. He excels at short courses. He excels at Birdie Fest. He excels in weaker fields. He has a great record here. Yeah, and I think at 7,800, it's almost, he's another guy, when he gets in contention, he can win. I mean, he has 5-6 tour wins in his career, and I think it's a great setup for him. And it's 7,800. If you're talking about a guy that, if he gets it going, can give you serious winning upside for really cheap at 7,800.
No doubt. Then as you work down, I mean, the sevens are really deep to me here. There's a lot of players that, for one reason or another, there's going to be a red flag or two, but I still could go there. CT Pan was absolutely horrendous last week. I thought he made for a good play, and boy, was I wrong. You've got someone like Hadwin, the Chilean amateur. Joaquin Neiman is here. Russell Henley, who Chad is asking about, respect, Gavin. I see you there. Russell Henley's a guilty pleasure of mine. we talked about him a couple weeks ago, and I thought I was a genius. He was 5 under on Thursday and then missed the cut. Got to watch out for him outside Bermuda. You told me that the other week, and you're right. I'll probably have some because I think the price is still too low. But is there someone in the next range that above the rest of these guys that you kind of want to go to?
Not so much the mid sevens. I guess I'd be preferential at 7,700 and Knox, who's won here and just is a good course fit. And Hadwin, who the ball striking has been pretty good, and we know, when he gets hot with the putter, he can make a ton of putts. But yeah, nothing really in the mid sevens. Well, I mean, Neiman has been interesting because he's kind of consistently struck the ball fairly well, but just hasn't done anything to really blow our doors off. And I don't know if this is the best course fit for him. I think people will go there because they love him and they see that he's kind of coming back. But for me, it's just I haven't seen enough. Harmon was a guy that I was heavy on at the Canadian Open, I believe that was a couple weeks ago, and kind of just didn't really do much. T50, the ball striking had been very good, but I wouldn't mind going back to him again this week. Perfect course for him. He has a sixth and a third here in his last four starts. But yeah, I kind of the upper seven range I like, and then down around 72, 71. But this mid seven, a bit of a dead zone for me.
I don't know. I want to get Lucas Glover was not good again, but he's an incredible ball striker. I'm not sure I'll get there. I do want to give a quick shout out to Chesson Hadley, who this is just a sign, no offense to him, because I really do like him. He competed at the US Open, which that was a sign that the course wasn't getting harder. Broke his around the green ineptitude, gained 2.6, and that was a very impressive showing by him last week. Do you think that carries over? Do you think he found something? Because, I mean, if you look at that, if he putts like that, forget it, because we know everything else is a really quality with his game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough. I mean, this is way better of a course fit. I mean, this would be like the prototypical course fit for him. Birdie fest, easy conditions, not a long course. I like you said. I think we kind of made fun of him last week on the show. Like the one guy that's going to be terrible is Chesson Hadley because he can't scramble. But
Boy, did you
yeah,
prove
I
us
don't I
wrong.
don't think I'm going there. I think there's other options for me.
I'm with you. I just wanted to make that note. All right, we've gotten to the Tim's favorite part of the show. Matthew Wolf is at 7,300. Another young gun. We saw him at Waste Management. Do you have any interest there before we move on to the lower range?
No, because he's one of those guys that I just get so sick of people tweeting wolf and rocket emojis that I never want him to do good because it just annoys the shit out of me on Twitter. So
Well
no,
said.
no, don't let your personal biases get in the way of making lineups. But I mean, he's another one. Maybe I feel like prior to last week, more people knew who he was over Hovland, and I think people were waiting for him to turn pro. People will be excited to play him, but I think after Hovland's finished last week and the way he struck the ball, maybe that'll kind of break up some of that ownership. But I'm not going to Wolf here. I don't know. I'd like to see these guys a few times
Yeah.
on the PGA Tour, look at their strokes gain stats, kind of get a feel for what they're really good at, what they're really bad at, and actual data, not just by watching them play in amateur events or college or whatever. So yeah, I'll probably take a more of a wait and see approach with him.
I'm usually the same way. I will say this kid, he seems really good. I wouldn't be stunned for him to play all right. The question that I really have is if you don't play him, how often are you gonna on Monday say, oh, I had a decent week or not the best week because I didn't play Matthew Wolf. I needed him. I just don't know how many times he burns you. And for me, there's just other priorities. So I'm excited to see him. Maybe he's really good and he builds on, it felt like he played better at Waste Management than he finished. After all that, he wasn't pertinent. So I'm not there, to be honest. Kevin Tway, chat asked, don't hate that. I'm not on Danny Lee, though. Just to throw those two out there. What else before we crash into the real sickos?
Why would you play Matthew Wolf when you can play studs like Max Homa and Troy Merritt? I mean, tried and true PGA professionals.
So you say that, but at least I obviously don't have this data, but we've probably done, I don't know, this year maybe like 20 shows. I'd say about almost half of them, someone in chat throws out Troy Merritt. Neither of us really consider it, and we just go like, I guess, but we don't see it. And then he's 12 under through 15 holes, and we look like idiots. Troy Merritt plays well. Once again, though, I'm not there this week. I'd rather play Max Homa.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of tongue in cheek, but he has been playing very well. And this is the week where I jump on board and he's awful.
Burn it
After all,
down.
like the sharp viewers and listeners have tried to point him out to me for numerous weeks in a row, and he's played great. But amazing ball striking, Memorial 8.5 strokes, missed the cut at the PGA, but he was good at Byron Nelson, gained 3.7 with the ball striking, gained 7.1 at Harbour Town. So yeah, the ball striking's been really good. You know, no big finishes, but he has a T17, T22, T10. I think this is a good course for him, despite kind of spotty. Well, I shouldn't say spotty. He's got bad course history here, but I mean, he's just not that good. I mean, you kind of need him to be on a run to even consider playing him. But yeah, I like him. And Homa, ball striking's been good, 4.2 over the last 5. I mean, he's averaging over 4 strokes ball striking in the last 5 events, which is super solid. Has a win in that frame. So yeah, I like both of those guys down here at the low 7s.
There's cases to be made. Dylan Fratelli's at 7,100, and I think this is a good course for him. He's not playing great. I have lost some of my patience with him. We'll see. I thought you were going to bring up Sepp Straka. I'm not going to lie. He's playing pretty well. I'm not there if he garners any ownership. But did you look at him? Did you notice him when you were doing your ball striking stats?
Yeah, I definitely did, and it's been there. I just feel like he's been popular, at least with guys betting first round leaders, and I feel like his ownership will be higher than Merritt's, higher than Homa's, who I would take. It's a coin flip between these guys. They've all been striking the ball great. I just think people have been on Straka somewhat. I'm not saying he's chalky, but I think people will get there this week. But yeah, he's been striking the ball very well. I mean, there's nothing bad to say about him, but I just think in this range, you can find other options striking the ball equally as well at a fraction of the ownership of Straka.
Fair enough. Last guy, and then we'll get real egregious. Nick Watney. Chat wants to know about him. I see it. I don't have a strong take, to be honest. If I need a guy in that exact price range, it'll probably be him or one, strongly considered towards the top, but I'm not jamming him or making a priority.
Yeah, I like Watney just for the reason, I was real heavy on him and he missed the cut 2 weeks ago. The ball striking had been good, but sometimes I don't like to just jump off a guy off a one missed cut. I mean, sometimes it's just a fluke and he bounces back the next week and the ball striking is phenomenal. It's like, let's not throw out 3 or 4 or 5 weeks worth of great play just because he missed the cut at the Canadian Open. People will jump off of him. And yeah, I mean, he was playing very good golf, just ran bad for 2 rounds at the Canadian Open. I'm not ready to just kind of throw all that out the window. I would go back to Watney for sure.
And ownership does, on the most part. Like,
oh yeah, everybody and I, for the most part, do it. It's like, oh, the run's over, and it's like, oh wow, now Nick Watney's right back, gaining 5 or 6 strokes with the ball striking again.
It's true. I think that's something to consider, that it would be nice to be able to exactly target, and that's why I build. And it's a fine line both ways. A lot of times I pick a guy, and that's why people say, like, well, you don't jump on, you're too late to jump on, and you hang on too long. Those are true in a lot of circumstances, but I do think overall, I'd rather struggle with a guy for a while. If you get paid off once, especially the way these tournaments are structured, it's worth taking your lumps over the course of the year. Before we get into the real sickos, as I always say, if you haven't signed up and you want to, use the promo code JazzRaz. You get half off your first month, and you get everything behind the paywall, whether it's the projections, articles, Slack, Tim's one-on-one personal service, as we always talk about.
I'll give you a discount on my Stake Kings markup. If
that too.
The subs,
2.0, yeah. He's going to be the first one to cross the, it's like the 4-minute mile for Stake Kings. Fantasy Golf Man's 2.0 package, entertainment purposes only. But yeah, sign on up. Obviously, we have a great time. We have office hours where a lot of these concepts we can expand upon, because it's hard to do that in a show. If you have any questions, just get in contact with us. But we get now to the lower range, and when we talked at the beginning of the show, you liked Brooks. I said I don't mind Cantlay. I want to take a handful of the 9K guys. If you do that, you might have to go down here. So, what do you got besides Peter Malnati, who's honestly my favorite? That's right at the top.
Now I don't have anything to say now. I don't have anybody
I
besides
stole him
Malnati. Yeah, I mean, he's your boy. You've been touting Malnati for probably 2 or 3 years now.
with little success, but that's neither here nor there.
But I'm with you. I mean, he's been playing well, and the ball striking was good at Canadian Open, 2 strokes, 5.8 at Memorial, 1.1 at Colonial, 5.4 at RBC. I mean, we're looking at prolonged good ball striking out of him, and at 6.9, I think that's pretty reasonable for him. You're not going to find that out of many guys down here. So yeah, I'm with you, but it's not exciting to tout him right after you mentioned him. I wish I could go against you, but
So I went first, but I mean, we've talked about this before, and I don't know specifically with him, but to me, he is one of a handful of guys on tour where we can say when he gains 5, 6 strokes putting, it's not a fluke. He is an incredible putter overall. He's in Brian Gay, Spieth, those types where he doesn't have to do the ball striking like everyone else because he's most likely going to gain on the greens. Now, if he doesn't, he's dead. But if he does, and he usually does, he can be effective despite not being the best tee to green player out there.
yeah, I mean, he's made 9 of 10 cuts. Like you said, he's one of the guys where, we're not looking for him to gain those strokes putting, but you don't feel like it's smoke and mirrors. If Luke List goes out and gains 7 strokes putting, the next week you're like, yeah, that's not happening again. Malnati, like you said, he's in that group of guys who, yeah, it doesn't feel like a fluke when he gains strokes putting in multiple events. And there's not much bad to say about him. Only miscut out of the last 9 was at Wells Fargo. So yeah, I mean, consistent golf, playing pretty decent, good price. I love him.
Is there anyone else? I looked at Austin Cook there. Morikawa is another one of these kids, and I will say if I had to play one of them, it would be him. Because maybe it's because I don't know him well. He looked just as good as Hovland obviously seems really, really good, but so does this kid, and you're getting definitely less ownership, obviously cheaper. I wouldn't hate. I actually had a little last week, to be honest, so I might look there. But is there anyone in the high sixes that you're into besides Molnati?
Oh, yeah, you can't even say that with a straight face.
I can't. No.
This is even more egregious, and it feels dirty just to say it. But Cameron Tringali.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Cameron Champ. I was gonna have to leave the show. Dear God.
No, only good golfers. We're only touting good golfers. Yeah, I mean Tringali, T11 at Canadian Open, T23 at Byron Nelson. Positive ball striking in both those events. T17 at Valero. I mean, I don't know. The ball striking has been there. The finishes have been decent, and a lot like Malnati, it doesn't feel great, but at 6,700, you're looking at top 25s in 3 of the last 4 events with pretty decent ball striking numbers. So he's not just doing it on or around the green, something that you think might regress or go away. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable playing Tringali. Even though I've made fun of him every week for the last 6 weeks, a lot like Merritt, he kind of falls in that category.
He does. He definitely does. And then you look and you're like, this guy's he's been playing good. It's funny. Chat just mentioned Sebastian Munoz too, and he's another one playing very well. There's a lot of guys like that. It's just tough because I tend to take players that I just think are better. Some of these guys, they do find form and they can sustain it for a while, but it's hard for them to keep it together, and they can regress really fast.
Yeah, playing the better players, that's usually that's my strategy too. I try to play the good players.
You would think it would work more often than it does. God, I want to say JJ Spawn. He just has shown nothing. I looked at him. I like the course for his game. Obviously, he's not the longest hitter out there, but the results just haven't been there. Maybe a sliver, but this is where it gets pretty bad for me. Molinax, do you have any thoughts on guys like that, or is it just a dart throw for you?
One guy that I was surprised to see his name pop up when I was running some ball striking numbers was Ben Silverman at 6,500, T20 at the Canadian Open, T40 at Colonial, that's not going to blow your doors off, but he gained 4 strokes with the ball striking in both those events. So pretty solid ball striking in 2 consecutive events for him. Um, and I mean, that stuck out. I mean, he's not great, but when you kind of compile the ball striking numbers and you start looking way down here, it gets ugly. These guys are not good. They're not gaining strokes off the tee. They're not getting strokes on approach. So to see somebody with back-to-back pretty decent showings for 6,500 at least stuck out to me.
And there's not a lot down there. Man, I mean, you look Kramer Hickok, Carlos Ortiz, Justin Sue, who is the 4th member of the new, the new young guns that
Is
are
that
coming.
Ndamukong's
Yeah,
brother?
this kid's another highly touted. I think he went to USC, but I don't know. There's always a line. I may have some guys in the high sixes. I'm gonna try to avoid here because I don't see much. It's just, God, it's slim pickings, and you just don't see anyone that's checking certainly a multitude of boxes. I just don't see it. Oh boy, Chad just asked about JJ Henry, who is the traveler's guru. The guy loves this course. He's the flat min.
Yeah, hasn't he played here like 47 times or something?
Yeah, I'm not there. I know that he's played this a bunch. I believe he's got some really good finishes here back in the day. He just has limited success lately. He did 10th at Puerto Rico. I will, and I say this every week. He is the flat min. So if you need someone, I'd probably him down there because I don't see many other playable guys. But at the same time, do you need to go down there? Him and Sam Saunders. Eesh.
Yeah, if you're gonna take a missed cut, make it a cheap one. So got to play those Brooks Cantlay together stacks or something.
But
no, I'm JJ Henry. He doesn't do it for me. I don't care what his course history is or how many times he's played here. I'll throw an egregious one out there it's right up the Ben Silverman lane. Joey Garber, T27 at the Canadian Open, T29 at Byron Nelson, gained 3.5 with the ball striking at both of those events. Another one, just 2 decent finishes in a row, 2 decent ball striking events in a row. They've both been bad all year, but I don't know if I'm going down here, those are the 2 guys that at least showed something to me, just besides name recognition or course history or a guy like Spawn or something where we've played. I mean, just 2 guys I wasn't expecting to see striking the ball well.
Yeah, it better be name recognition because I'd give you a lot of money if you could tell me to pick Joey Garber out of a lineup.
I'm looking at his picture right now. He's got a nice mullet on the.
He has a picture on DraftKings, or you're looking in just the
official worldgolfranking.com.
Okay, that's where I thought we were going. This is a faceless
mullet going on.
He's part of the faceless stacks. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know what? Tomorrow night, me and Jason Roslin are obviously going to be digging deep with the egregious list as we always do. So you stop by then. As I always say, I'm not going to look to get these guys in, maybe 1 or 2. Before we get out of here, though, did you fire off any bets just yet?
I can't get away from Streelman. I know it's such a donkey.
That really is donkey, but I like it. I see it.
It's just it's like I have to do it. When you see the ball striking, I got to do it. And I really like JT. I mean, he's 18-1.
I bet him last week, though. That was a mistake.
It's been there. He's close. He's way closer than the 2 missed cuts. And then what was he at the Canadian Open? I think he was like T20 or something, where he was phenomenal off the tee and on approach. So I think it's a lot closer. And I think 18-1 is a pretty decent number for him in this field, where normally you'd see him, like sub 10-1 if he was playing decent.
I'm probably going to talk about donkey moves. I'm going to probably bet Griot. And that's just, it never works. But I look at him, and even Benny On, they don't win, but I find myself intrigued. For the high-end guys, and I know he's not playing well, I think that if I could see Fleetwood breaking through here and winning. I know he's not building up to it. He's burned the edges so many times. If he gets going, this is a great track for him. And we've seen Spieth came out here first time and won. That can be done.
So terrible players can win here. We
That's right.
confirmed that.
We've seen it done. Bud Coley, top 10 this week. I don't mind that call. I could see that. That's a crowded range, though. Any final words before we bounce on out of here?
No. I mean, I just think it's an interesting course. I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around. I wouldn't get too carried away with the fact that Bubba has such a great record here. I don't know how to explain it, but to me, this is right there with kind of Colonial and Harbor Town as one of the short hitters tracks. So I think people will see Bubba has a great record and think maybe off the tee is more important than it really is. And at the top, Brooks, Cantlay, obviously long guys. We're not going to disregard them. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is a great course for guys like Streelman, guys like Grillo, guys like Knox. I mean, Russell Knox and Jerry Kelly going 1-2 a couple years back. I mean, that was like,
how did you not win the Millie that week?
Yeah, it didn't get any better than that for me.
Unreal. I could see. I know we talked about him, and this isn't my final thought, but Brian Moore, take a look at him in the outright market. He's another one I might actually make a play on because when he gets going, he can go low. But, for me, I agree. I think it's a week. Obviously, we're going to check out this weather. If it's soft, guys are going to be able to attack. And, it's coming off a major. I know that's always difficult. We'll dig into roster construction. I do think it's a week to be more cognizant of ownership than usual. There's going to be some masses, and there's a lot of guys that you're going to have to balance really good fits and possibly really good plays with how do you leverage that and make it unique? Because Streelman, maybe Hovland, these are guys that I'm interested in, but in the right circumstances. I want to stress that. So we'll see, and that's why tomorrow night, like I said, if you can stop back 9 p.m. Eastern, we love when chat's active. We'll be answering your questions. So we'll get on out of here. Short and sweet. Travelers, like the video on your way out. Chat, thanks for being active. You make the show a lot more fun that way. If you have any questions, you can find us in Slack. You can find us on Twitter. And we'll be back next week with whatever tournament that is because I don't know off the top of my head. Good luck and take care.